The prophecy. The dream that wouldn't fade. Santiago's eyes snapped open, his chest heaving as if he'd just sprinted a mile. The dream lingered, its vividness refusing to dissipate like morning mist. He lay there, replaying the scenes in his mind like a movie reel. The same dream, every time, the same symbols, the same emotions, the same sense of urgency. It was as if his subconscious was screaming for his attention, begging him to take action. Interpreting the dream, Santiago had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the subconscious. He devoured books on Jungian psychology, studied the works of Freud, and even dabbled in tarot reading. But this dream was different, it felt. The images swirled in his mind like a potent cocktail, and the crumbling pyramids, the whispering palm trees, and the cryptic message etched on the ancient stone tablet. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. The words echoed in his mind like a mantra. The call to adventure, this dream wasn't just a collection of random images, it was a call to adventure. Santiago felt it in his bones, a restlessness that couldn't be ignored. He was meant to fulfill his personal legend, to uncover the treasure that awaited him. The dream was a map, guiding him toward a destination unknown. And yet, the thought of embarking on this journey terrified him. What if he failed? What if the dream was just a wild goose chase? As Santiago swung his legs over the side of the bed, the dream began to fade, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease. He knew what he had to do. He had to take the first step, no matter how daunting it seemed. The universe was waiting, and so was his treasure. Santiago's recurring dream is more than just a product of his subconscious. It's a call to adventure, a guide guiding him toward fulfilling his personal legend and uncovering his hidden treasure. As he embarks on this journey, he must face his fears and doubts, trusting that the universe will conspire to help him achieve his desires. The Gypsy's interpretation. The Gypsy's encounter. As I walked through the bustling streets of Tangier, the sounds and smells of the ancient city enveloped me. I had heard whispers of a gypsy who possessed the gift of interpreting dreams, and I was determined to find her. After asking several locals for directions, I finally stumbled upon a small, mysterious shop hidden in a quiet alley. The sign above the door read, "Madame Luna, Seer of the Unseen." I took a deep breath and pushed open the door, stepping into the dimly lit room. The air of mystery, Madame Luna greeted me with an enigmatic smile, her piercing green eyes seeming to see right through me. She gestured for me to sit, and I did so, feeling a sense of trepidation wash over me. She asked me to describe my dream, and I recounted every detail, from the vivid colors to the haunting melody that still lingered in my mind. As I spoke, her eyes seemed to glaze over, as if she was listening to a language only she could understand. The interpretation, Madame Luna's eyes snapped back into focus, and she began to speak in a low, husky tone. "Your dream is a map, Santiago," she said, her words dripping with conviction. "It is a call to listen to your heart, to follow the signs that are guiding you towards your destiny." She explained that the symbols and images in my dream were a manifestation of my inner desires, and that I must learn to trust my instincts if I was to unlock my true potential. Her words struck a chord deep within me, and I felt a sense of awe wash over me. Summary: as I left Madame Luna's shop, I felt a sense of clarity and purpose that I had never experienced before. The gypsy's interpretation had awakened something within me, and I knew that I had to embark on a journey of self-discovery. I realized that the universe was speaking to me through my dreams, and that it was up to me to listen and respond. The encounter with Madame Luna had set me on a path of exploration, and I was eager to see where it would lead. The journey begins. Santiago's decision. Santiago had always lived a comfortable life, surrounded by his flock of sheep in the rolling hills of Andalusia. However, as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, He couldn't shake off the feeling of emptiness that had begun to creep into his heart. He felt unfulfilled, like there was something more to life than the mundane routine of tending to his sheep. Despite his attempts to ignore it, the feeling only intensified until he realized that he had a choice to make. The call of the unknown, the idea of leaving his familiar surroundings and embarking on a journey to fulfill his personal legend, was daunting, to say the least. But the more Santiago thought about it, the more he felt an inexplicable urge to take the leap of faith. He began to ask himself questions. What if I'm meant for something greater? What if there's more to life than this? The questions swirled in his mind until he finally made the decision to sell his sheep and set out on a journey of self-discovery. A new chapter unfolds with a sense of trepidation and excitement. Santiago bid farewell to his flock and set out into the unknown. As he walked away from the only life he had ever known, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He knew that he was taking a risk, but he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The journey was long and arduous, but Santiago was driven by his desire to fulfill his personal legend. A summary, Santiago's decision to leave his comfortable life behind marks the beginning of his journey to fulfill his personal legend. With a sense of uncertainty and excitement, he sets out into the unknown, driven by his desire to discover his true purpose in life. As he takes the first steps on this journey, he leaves behind the familiarity of his past and embarks on a path that will lead him to discover his true self. Fatima and the Crystal Merchant. The road to Fatima's heart, Santiago's journey, had been filled with twists and turns. But nothing could have prepared him for the encounter that was about to change the course of his life. As he wandered through the bustling streets of Tangier, he stumbled upon a beautiful woman, her dark hair cascading down her back like a waterfall of night. Her name was Fatima, and from the moment Santiago laid eyes on her, he knew he was smitten. Fatima was a ray of sunshine illuminating the dusty streets of the old city. She radiated an aura of peace, a sense of calm that was both captivating and disarming. Santiago, sensing that he had stumbled upon something truly special, mustered the courage to approach her. As they began to converse, he discovered that Fatima was not only beautiful, but also kind, gentle, and possessed of a deep wisdom. The crystal merchant's wisdom. As Santiago and Fatima's relationship blossomed, they began to frequent the shop of a wise old crystal merchant. The merchant, with his long white beard and twinkling eyes, became a mentor to Santiago, imparting valuable life lessons that went far beyond the confines of his small shop. "Listen to your heart, young one," he would say, "for it is the language of the universe." The merchant's words were like diamonds, precious and multifaceted, refracting light and casting shadows of insight. One day, as Santiago sat amidst the crystal merchant's sparkling wares, he asked the old man about the secret to a happy life. The merchant's response was simplicity itself. "Leave the world a better place than you found it, and you will have lived a life of purpose." Santiago, still reeling from the wisdom, realized that Fatima, too, was leaving her mark on the world, spreading love and kindness wherever she went. In the end, Santiago came to understand that Fatima and the crystal merchant were not just individuals, but gateways to a world of wisdom, kindness, and love. As he looked into Fatima's eyes, he knew that he had found his way, and that the road ahead would be lit by the radiant light of their love. The Englishman's Quest. The English Stranger and the Elusive Alchemist. As I ventured deeper into the mystical land of Morocco, I crossed paths with a peculiar Englishman, whose piercing blue eyes gleamed with an unyielding determination. His worn-out boots and tattered cloak bespoke a man driven by an unrelenting passion, a quest that had consumed his very being. I sensed an aura of quiet confidence about him, the air of someone who knew a secret that few others did. "Huh, you're searching for the alchemist, aren't you?" I asked, My curiosity piqued. The Englishman's eyes narrowed, his gaze piercing through the dusty air. "How did you know?" he whispered, his voice laced with a hint of caution. "I've seen that fire in the eyes of many before," I replied with a knowing smile. "The alchemist's secrets are whispered in hushed tones, but few dare to seek them out. What drives you to embark on this perilous journey?" The Englishman's expression turned introspective, his eyes clouding over as he gazed into the distant past. "I've spent years studying the ancient texts, poring over dusty tomes in forgotten libraries. I've spoken to wise men and mystics, seeking the truth behind the transmutation of base metals into gold." As he spoke, his voice took on a dreamy quality, as if the mere thought of the alchemist's secrets had transported him to a realm beyond the mundane. I sensed that this was no ordinary man, driven by mere greed or ambition. His pursuit was rooted in a deeper quest for understanding, a thirst to unlock the mysteries of the universe. In that moment, I knew that our paths were intertwined, bound by the threads of fate and curiosity. Together, we would embark on a journey that would take us to the very limits of human understanding in search of the elusive alchemist and the secrets he guarded so zealously. Crossing the desert. Crossing the desert, the sun beat down relentlessly as Santiago and the Englishman ventured into the vast expanse of the desert. The dunes stretched out before them, shimmering like a golden sea in the bright light. The air was hot and dry, sucking the moisture from their skin and parching their throats. Their journey was not just a physical test of endurance, but also a spiritual one. Santiago, driven by his dreams and determination, was convinced that the alchemist was waiting for him on the other side of the desert. The Englishman, with his rational mind and skepticism, was along for the ride, driven by curiosity and a sense of adventure. As they trudged through the sand, the silence was broken only by the soft crunch of their footsteps and the occasional cry of a bird wheeling overhead. The desert was a harsh and unforgiving environment, where a wrong move or miscalculation could be fatal. Santiago and the Englishman had to be constantly on guard against the dangers that lurked beneath the surface: venomous snakes, scorpions, and treacherous sandstorms that could sweep in without warning. Despite the challenges, they pushed on, fueled by their determination to reach their destination. The desert was a testing ground, a proving ground for their resolve and commitment. As they walked, the sun beating down on their heads, they were forced to confront their own fears and doubts. Would they be able to overcome the obstacles in their path, or would the desert prove too much for them? As the day drew to a close, Santiago and the Englishman sought shelter in a small oasis, surrounded by a cluster of date palms and a small spring. As they rested and replenished their water bottles, they reflected on the lessons they had learned so far: the importance of perseverance, the dangers of complacency, and the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting challenges. The alchemist's wisdom. Santiago sat in rapt attention as the alchemist began to speak, his words dripping with an otherworldly wisdom. "Oh, the art of alchemy is not just about transforming base metals into gold, my young friend," he said, his eyes twinkling with a deep understanding. "It is about transforming the self, about transmuting our own darkness into light." Eh? The alchemist paused, allowing Santiago to absorb the weight of his words. "You see, most people are like the lead, dense and heavy with their own doubts and fears. But the true alchemist knows that lead can be transformed into gold, that the base can become the sublime." Santiago's mind raced with the implications. He thought back to his own journey, how he had been led by his heart, how he had listened to its whispers and followed its urgings. The alchemist was speaking directly to his soul. The key to this transformation is listening," the alchemist continued. "Listening to the whispers of the universe, listening to the beat of one's own heart. The heart is the seat of wisdom, Santiago. It is the source of all true knowledge and understanding. The alchemist leaned forward, his eyes burning with intensity. But listening is not just about hearing, it is about obeying. It is about surrendering to the will of the universe, about trusting in the mysterious forces that guide us. Santiago felt a shiver run down his spine as he realized the truth of the alchemist's words. He had been fighting against the current of his own destiny, trying to control and manipulate the world around him. But the alchemist was showing him a different way, a way of surrender and trust. In this chapter, the alchemist teaches Santiago about the true nature of alchemy, revealing that it is not just about transforming physical matter, but about transforming oneself. He emphasizes the importance of listening to one's heart and surrendering to the will of the universe, illustrating the process of spiritual transformation and the art of alchemy. Spiritual transformation. The call to let go. Santiago's journey had been marked by a constant struggle to control the uncontrollable. He had always prided himself on being the master of his destiny, relying on his intellect and wit to navigate life's twists and turns. But as he traversed the vast expanse of the desert, he began to realize that this approach was not only exhausting, but also misguided. The burden of fear, in particular, had become a crippling weight that threatened to consume him at every turn. A fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, all these phantoms haunted his every step, whispering dire warnings and prophecies of doom. Yet, as he faced the unforgiving vastness of the desert, Santiago began to understand that fear was not a shield, but a prison. It was a constant reminder that he was trying to micromanage the universe, rather than trusting in its natural flow. The gift of surrender. As he learned to let go of his need for control, Santiago discovered the transformative power of surrender. It was not about giving up or being passive, but about acknowledging that the universe had a wisdom and a purpose that transcended his own limited understanding. With each step, he began to trust that the universe was guiding him towards his highest good, even when the path ahead seemed uncertain. Listen to the heartbeat. The most profound lesson Santiago learned during this period was the importance of listening to his heart. He realized that his heart was not just a physical organ, but a gateway to the divine. It was the seat of his intuition, his creativity, and his deepest wisdom. By tuning into its whispers, he began to access a level of guidance and inspiration that went far beyond the rational mind. As Santiago let go of his need for control and fear, he tapped into the transformative power of surrender. By trusting in the universe and listening to his heart, he discovered a new level of trust, faith, and inner guidance. This marked the beginning of a profound spiritual transformation, one that would change the course of his journey forever. The treasure revealed. Santiago's hands trembled as he uncovered the treasure. The moment of truth had finally arrived. Santiago's heart raced as he knelt beside the old oak tree, his hands trembling with anticipation. He slowly brushed away the dirt and leaves, revealing a small, intricately carved wooden chest. The chest itself was a work of art, adorned with symbols and markings that seemed to shimmer in the fading light of day. As he lifted the lid, a faint glow emanated from within, illuminating the surrounding trees. Santiago's eyes widened as he peered into the chest, expecting to see glittering gold or precious jewels. Instead, he found a collection of peculiar objects, a small, leather-bound book, a worn compass, and a note penned in elegant script. The note read, "Your personal legend was never about material wealth, but about the riches of the soul. The treasure you seek lies within." Santiago's mind reeled as he processed the message. He had spent years searching for treasure, driven by a deep-seated desire for wealth and recognition. Yet, as he gazed upon the humble contents of the chest, he realized that his true treasure was the journey itself, the people he had met, the lessons he had learned, and the growth he had experienced. The leather-bound book, it seemed, was a journal belonging to another seeker, one who had walked a similar path. As Santiago flipped through its yellowed pages, he discovered that the author had faced similar trials and triumphs, arriving at the same profound conclusion. The compass, too, held significance, an hour symbolizing the guidance Santiago had received from the universe and the gentle nudges that had directed him toward his destiny. In this instant, Santiago comprehended that his personal legend was not about accumulating riches, but about uncovering the treasure within, the treasure of self-awareness, wisdom, and purpose. As he closed the chest, a sense of peace settled upon him, and he smiled, knowing that his journey had just begun.